Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for your patience and welcome to our March Family Webinar. My name is Caitlin Euler and I'm the Assistant Director for Family Programs and Services here at Mason. So we are lucky today to have not one, but three presenters that will be talking to you about how to navigate either the on-campus housing search or the off-campus housing search, and just to give you all some tips on how you can help your students through that process. So today you'll hear from Jen Frank, who is the Assistant Director for Housing Services within Housing and Residence Life, as well as from Scott Blevins, who is the Associate Director for Off-Campus Student Programs and Services within the Office of Orientation and Family Programs and Services. And then last but not least, you'll hear a brief message from our partner at Cort Furniture, Fran, who will be offering some tips for families who may be considering furnishing an off-campus apartment or home. So before I turn it over to our presenters, I just wanted to mention that this webinar today is part of our monthly webinar series for families. So throughout the year, typically the first or second week of the month, we host a webinar on a variety of topics, things that we feel is important information for you, our Mason families, to know. An upcoming list of webinar topics can be found on our website, as well as a recording. So if you missed some points from the webinar today or you have to tune out for whatever reason, you can visit our website, which is listed at the bottom of the screen, for a recording as well as a list of our upcoming webinar topics. So during our webinar, we can't see you or hear you, but we want you to interact with us via our chat feature on the left side of the screen. And so through that chat feature, you can ask us any questions you may have. We have some additional folks in the room here that will be answering questions during the presentation, but you can also save your questions to the end, and we will have some time to do some Q&A after all three presenters are done. So with that, I will turn it over to our first presenter, who is Jen Frank from the Office of Housing and Residence Life.
Okay, hi everybody. As Caitlin said, I'm Jen. I'm from the Office of Housing and Residence Life, and I oversee the assignments. I'm going to be talking to you about on-campus housing for our returning FSS students. So the first way that most of our students do seek housing is housing selection. It's a process that's actually going on right now. This is for returning on-campus students who are going to be full-time undergraduates next year. Spring 2013 needs to be their 6th or fewer semester on campus. So basically, if you have 4 years of housing eligibility, next year needs to be your 4th or fewer year for your student. The application was available February 4th through 8th. Most students did hopefully submit their applications. Students form groups of either 6, 4, 3, or 2. And those students have already selected their housing. But then the students who participate as individuals, so they're going into the selection process on their own rather than specifically selecting with friends, they will be selecting next week, March 21st and 22nd. They're going to be getting their selection info in an email from us tomorrow. So if your student is sitting on the edge of their seat waiting, they will be getting it shortly. All students who participate in housing selection need to pay their own $300 non-refundable deposit to confirm their space. So students who selected should have already paid this deposit, and then those students who are participating as individuals will be paying their deposit shortly after they select. That deposit will be due on March 27th at noon. So Mason has adjusted its housing policy with regards to the housing guarantee. We have a 2-year guarantee. This allows us to more realistically and effectively serve our students. And we know that most of your students came in during the time when there was a 4-year guarantee, so we want to assure you that we are in a position, as we look at the number of students on our housing wait list, that we feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to continue to house the students that are our rising juniors and rising seniors. We will prioritize finding housing for them before we do start assigning students who aren't part of the original guaranteed group. So basically, students who continued in housing through housing selection will have priority to receive space. There are some students who were waitlisted during the housing selection process. So initially, we had 350 students more apply for housing than we had spaces available. So those students were told that they were on the housing selection wait list. These were the groups and individuals who had the highest average seniority. So basically, we're committed to making sure that our younger students who, they don't necessarily have the same resources or, maturity to deal with living off campus are the ones that get priority to receive on-campus housing, but we do anticipate being able to house all of the students who are on the wait list. At this time, of those original 350, About 100 of them have been brought back into the housing selection process and will be able to participate in individual selection. They should have received notification in this past week if that applies to them. And they will also receive their selection instructions tomorrow and will be participating in individual selection the same as the other students who had originally applied to do so. The remaining students who are on this wait list are going to submit their housing preferences and their housing deposit between April 1st and 5th. They were notified about this back in February when they were told they were on the wait list, and they'll be receiving reminders about it as well. These students have priority to receive housing as spaces open up over the summer. We do want to make sure they understand, though, that the guarantee of placement isn't really in place, but they will be placed as quickly as we find space available, and we will do our best to place them in their preferred room type or location, but that's not something we can ensure because we can't really control what spaces open up over the summer. We do know that many of these students are going to decide to live off campus, and that's fine, but for the ones who want to live on campus, they should submit their preferences and their deposit April 1st through 5th in order to continue to be considered for housing. So the students who went through housing selection were the students who had priority to receive a space. We do know that we have a population of students who currently live off campus who may have at one point in time lived on campus or may have never lived on campus who now want to live on campus. These students can begin applying for housing on May 2nd at 10 a.m. The waitlist opens at 10, and we do encourage them to apply early because we get a few hundred applications that first day, and the applications are processed in the order that they're received. These students will be placed, if it's possible, after the students remaining from housing selection receive an assignment. They're not guaranteed a place, but we do everything we can to get them housed, and they will pay their $300 deposit when they submit their application. If your student is an incoming transfer student for 2013, there's a separate application available for them. It's already available on our website. It opened up on January 15th. Students who are accepted to Mason as transfers can apply for housing once they're accepted. For students who already have a housing assignment or are selecting one during housing selection, or for students who get one over the summer, we do have a room change process available. So if they're unhappy with their assignment, if they made a mistake, we have a few students who may have picked something that they can't afford and realized after the fact, so they need to change their assignment. They can participate in this room change process in the month of June. So the application becomes available on June 3rd, and we have a priority deadline of June 14th so that we can begin making the changes as early as possible. The changes will be made on a space available basis. So we do our best to move the students, but we will only move them if a space of the type that they're requesting is available. We also have a person-for-person swap option. This is where if I know a friend who lives in a different room and we just want to swap places, we can submit a person-for-person swap form at any point beginning now through the summer. If students want to swap, they do have to do it officially. This is something that's really important to ensure the safety and security of all of our residents, is that we need to know who's assigned to which space because it impacts how we give card access to the students so that they can access the proper bedrooms and ensure that they can get into the correct space if they get locked out, as well as if we need to contact a student in case of an emergency, we need to know where they're living. So if your student finds themselves in a situation where they want to swap, it's fine. They just need to do it officially by submitting this paperwork. So we just launched our new housing website today. We're still working on updating bits and pieces of it, but we wanted to just give you the heads up so that if you're used to searching for things in certain places, you may not find them as quickly right now, but we do hope that the new organization will help you find things a little bit more efficiently. So if you visit housing.gmu.edu, you're going to get something that looks like what's on the screen right now. And those 6 colorful puzzle pieces there, depending on which one you're on, if you click on it, you'll get to a whole new set of information, whether it's about the residence halls, about applying for housing, about living on campus, et cetera. So if you have questions, you can also visit the website for more information and then contact us. So the best ways to contact us are via email at housing@gmu.edu, and we do have staff monitoring that during the week, or by phone at 703-993-2720. That's our main line, and staff monitor that during the workday. So we appreciate, if you call us, we'll do our best to get back to you as fast as possible. You can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter at MasonOHRL. We do put updates there about things that are going on and reminders to the students about deadlines and things like that. And that is everything we've got on OnCampus Housing. I'm going to pass off to Scott to talk to you about OffCampus Housing.
Great. Hi. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jen. My name is Scott Blevins, and I am the Associate Director for Off-Campus Student Programs and Services. The biggest thing to know about our office is we are here for all off-campus students to make sure that their transition, whether it's from living on campus to off-campus, goes as seamless as possible. But not only that, but after their transition, once they're students, to provide programs and services to making sure that they're having that full Mason experience. More than anything, I get asked so many times, what's the difference between, for students living off or on campus? And it's really, to be quite honest, it's just where you go home and sleep at night. All of our programs and services that we do have are available to off and on-campus students. So more than anything, we want you to know that we're here for you. We have a great social presence from our Twitter following at Mason Off Campus, or on our Facebook group at facebook.com/Mason Off Campus. A little bit of our overview of what we're going to be talking about today. And what I do want you to know is, again, our chat feature is open, so if you have any questions about on-campus housing or off-campus housing, please go ahead and chat those questions to us. In addition, I want you to know that all of these slides will be made available via the Mason Family's website, so if you have any other further questions or want to go back to reference anything, we're definitely post all these slides here for you as well. Some things that we're going to talk about today is just considerations before searching. Before starting your search, what you should know, what you should be thinking about with you and your student at Mason. Questions when you actually go to the properties, what are you going to be asking them? What are you going to be looking for? Some tricks of the trade, kind of things like that. After that, what we want you to know is Mason has a huge presence from our online off-campus housing locator. This site gets about 1 million hits per year, and we want you to know that it's a very active website on campus currently. We also want to work you through signing a lease, what that means to you and what that might mean to your students, and just going through some resources that we have for off-campus students. The question that I get most asked in the position and throughout off-campus programs and services is, what is it going to look like in terms of rent? And the biggest thing that I say to students and family members is really there's a large spectrum. If you're looking for just a room, many of our local houses in the area, they might rent out a room or two to students, or might rent out a basement. And really those rooms start around $500 all the way up to $900. That's definitely probably the cheapest option for you if you do live off campus. But what I want you to also think about are, what are you looking for? How many roommates are you going to be looking for? And that really impacts the pricing as well. Here's just a little bit of a chart. The all apartments is kind of an average. Garden apartments are those 2 to 3 story buildings that we're looking for. And the elevator apartments are your more 13, 14, all the way up to 24 apartments for that as well. So it's, again, really, it just depends on what you're looking for. It could be cheaper than on-campus housing, or it could be more expensive. But again, it just really goes to what you're looking for. But the other thing that I tell a lot of students and family members when looking for housing is to make sure that you're including, sometimes what we forget about are hidden costs for living off campus. Utilities, obviously water, sewage, trash, the majority of those are included within the rent price, but there's also electric and gas. What kind of cable, what kind of internet? I know on campus, if your student is transitioning from living on to off campus, they had a phenomenal internet experience, they had a phenomenal cable services for that. So what's kind of the standard that they're looking for that? Obviously with cable and internet, one thing that I always tell students and family members is to be careful. Be cautious. A lot of the internet bundle packages are great deals, but they only last for between 3 and 6 months. But what happens to the price after that 3 and 6 months as well? So again, make sure that we do think about those kind of things like that. This might be a little bit hard to read on your screen, but we want you to know that we do have a little bit of a sample budgeting form for what we could be affording for in terms of off-campus housing, or what we might be looking at in terms of total price. This is found on our website at offcampus.gmu.edu, which just in a little bit we're going to go ahead and navigate around as well. So this might be a good resource and a good tool for you or your student to really find out what kind of rent, what are those final costs that we're looking for as well. But we also have more than just a budget worksheet. So this really helps students and family members prioritize what they're looking for. Are we looking for a unit with a washer and dryer in it is a dishwasher. I know that's a make or break for my wife and I, is a dishwasher. So it's one of those things that what are we prioritizing in terms of amenities? Do we want a pool? Do we want a fitness center? The more amenities, obviously, usually typically is going to be the higher rent cost as well. So again, considerations to think about, priorities to think about when looking for housing as well. Questions to look for when searching, and these are absolutely most important. The first one is to talk about length or term of lease. What exactly are you going to be looking for? The majority of apartment complexes close to George Mason University and in the city of Fairfax, they do have 9-month leases for students. But some of them won't. So some of them will be at that full 12-month lease. But again, the majority of them do understand that George Mason is in the area and will just be looking for those 9-month contracts. Again, what utilities are included, the majority of places will come with water and sewage. But again, make sure that you know that going into it. Security deposits. Obviously, the communities, the large communities, they're going to have a security deposit. But most importantly, that I ask a lot of students and family members, make sure you're asking, how do I go ahead and get that security deposit back? What are my rights in terms of after I leave? How do I go about and make sure that I get that security deposit or the most money that I can with that security deposit back? Parking spaces. Obviously, if you have talked to your students, parking seems to be a prime question for everybody. So is there off-street parking? Is there on-street parking? Are parking spaces included within that? Obviously, a lot of our students do have roommates. So in terms of checking, and this is also something that I see a lot of our students talk about, is how do I actually pay the rent? Obviously, money is always a touchy situation, and we want your students to have the best experience ever in making sure that they talk about whether rent could be accepted in multiple checks, multiple payments, or do I have to pay in one check, and making sure that your students really think about, okay, whose one check is going to be delivered for that. We're going to keep moving on. And what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be transitioning to our website. And our website to get to is just offcampus.gmu.edu. And this is not only our website housing finder, but what it also is it gets you to all of our programs and services on campus. The biggest thing to know about is right here is where we're going to be talking about find off-campus housing, and our housing locator is going to take you there. In 1 second. And our link. So this is going to be our online housing website finder. The way we tell students or family members are able to do this as well, is just go ahead and sign up for an account for that. I'm going to go ahead and log in now. But what you're going to be able to see is that if you scroll down on the website, and my screen's not matching up 100%, so I'm going to keep looking at another screen here. Once you log in, what that's going to do is I'm going to log you in real quick. And that's going to log us in. So the biggest thing to know about is a couple of different features. Number one is the element of that this has a lot of fields that you're able to search with. So if you're just looking for housing, you're going to be going on to just kind of checking on that. And there's multiple filters and multiple ways to be looking for housing. So you can do everything from looking for sublet listings. If you're looking for a sublet, you could search by price range, or you could search by the number of bedrooms, baths, or a lot of students where they start off is I want to live in Fairfax, so that's one of our main filters that we do have, that you could search by the area that you're looking for as well. And this is going to pull up a lot of our complexes in the area, a lot of our individual units. And again, so if you want to filter out by Fairfax and the price range, that's another way to add another filter, and it's only going to pull up the properties that you want. If you actually click on this heart, what that's going to do is that's going to save you that for you, and it's going to add to your favorites, which you can always come back and do a little bit of a comparison between properties as well. So again, a really great website. I think that it's a great way to find, or at least tell students to start looking for off-campus housing here. One of the other features that I want to tell you about, and this is a feature that I really hope if your students need to take advantage of, and that's our roommate matching finder, and this is live information here. These is just specifically to George Mason University students. So it's a lot safer than just your general Craigslist, and it's a lot just specifically to George Mason students again. So you need that George Mason University email address to actually post on here. So there's two different options when you're looking for roommates. You either have a place or need a place. So you can see that we have about 140 different options to view. So it's again, you can search by multiple different avenues in terms of when you need a roommate, the gender, male, female, smoking, cleanliness, university affiliation, if you're looking for undergraduate, professional, doctoral. So it's again, multiple filters that you could use to kind of help you on your housing search process. Again, what we're most excited about to offer is that this is specific just to George Mason University students, so you need that George Mason University email address for that. And I understand that I've just been told that the only thing that you all still see is the login screen. So what we'll do is we will try to go ahead and take care of that. But again, the more information that you need is our office. You can contact our office and we'll work you through that website as well. Again, the major pieces to know are number one, students and family members can create accounts and sign in for that. And number two, if you all have a George Mason University email address, you could sign up for our roommate finder. It's a very intuitive system that's going to get you some good information for that. So I urge you all to go ahead and create accounts, and if you're looking for roommates, if your students are looking for roommates, we're able to help and assist them with that. We're going to kind of go back to our presentation for that and keep continuing on. So for signing a lease, these are some questions that have some language terms and what you should be looking for. The biggest one to really think about and the biggest problem area that we see is release of residence. And when we're talking about release of resident, what we're really talking about are what are the terms for me to end and the landlord to end as well. This also comes into play with, oh, we were best friends when we signed the lease, but now we don't necessarily even want to live together. What happens there? What happens when the lease is broken? What happens? Who's responsible for finding another subletter? Whatever that may be the case. What we also tell students is, again, it means that you read it, understand it, and agree to it. If there's any difference between the lease and the conversation that you're having with the landlord and it's not written anywhere, what's written controls the conversation. So anything that's in writing with a landlord or with a company, whatever it might be, make sure that you get it in writing. Make sure that you understand all the lease terms in it, especially when it comes to subletting your apartments, what happens if the lease is broken, what happens with a security deposit, everything of that sort. And the biggest thing that I tell students, anytime they move in, get as much documentation as you have. We have a checklist on our website that we tell students to work through and run through, in addition to what are the current conditions. If there's a scratch on the door, if there's a chunk out of the wall, make sure you take as much pictures as possible for that. Make sure that you schedule a walkthrough 5 days within moving in with your landlord and 3 days within moving out. And that's going to help with that security deposit, or if there's any kind of resolution that needs to be brought forth at the end of it. But we also want to let you know that life as an off-campus student, obviously we're here to help you transition to living off-campus, but the other thing to know is that that just doesn't end once you transition to living off-campus. We have a lot of great programs and services for off-campus students. For example, our Spotlight program is our high five for off-campus students. We're out there in the parking lots meeting with our off-campus population every weekday that ends in a 5. So September 5th, September 15th, September 25th. whatever it might be. We're out there in the parking lots in the afternoon and evenings. In addition, in the afternoon, we always provide some sort of afternoon programming. In the past, we brought in celebrity chefs to do cooking demonstrations, those life skills for living off campus for your first time. We do game shows called Guess for Gas, where we give away a lot of gas cards. So we just do a lot of great programming. The other thing to know is that we always offer a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week study lounge for off-campus students. So during finals, they will always have somewhere to go and study. What we also want to let you know is we have some other great upcoming housing opportunities. On Friday, April 5th, we're offering an off-campus housing tour. So within 3 hours, we're going to visit 5 properties that are very close in proximity to Mason, and they're going to give about a 20 to 25-minute overview of their properties. Again, I posted the link at the bottom of this website, and it's on our website as well, so the students could find it. But this is a great opportunity to go ahead, take 3 hours out of your Friday afternoon, and go and meet with multiple properties in the area and get those questions asked directly as well. So the other big thing to know about, and one of our great partners for off-campus programs and services, is Cort Furniture. And at this time, I'm actually going to go ahead and turn it over to Fran to talk a little bit about some options with Cort Furniture.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to give you a little bit of information on furniture solutions once you've found the home that your student is going to be living in. So I want to start off by asking, what if Cort could save you 44 hours of hassle and aggravation associated with moving in over $5,000? That's what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit about today. But before I go into the savings, I'd like to speak to you a little bit about our research that we've done with students nationwide. Cort sent out a survey to college students across the nation where we asked them what their plans are for getting furniture or how they've gotten furniture in the past. You'll see a graph on your screen now of different ways that students have gotten furniture. To talk a little bit about that, a lot of people are buying from the internet, getting previously owned, or looking around town for thrown away furniture. If your student has that in mind, please make sure that you take into consideration where they're getting the furniture from. We've had a lot of instances where people have gotten previously used furniture or they've picked it up and they brought pests, rodents, bed bugs into their apartment, and that could be a cost associated later that you just don't want to deal with. Also, make sure that they're getting it from a trusted location. From the internet, if they're going on to Craigslist, make sure that they're taking all safety precautions in mind before they go out and meet someone to buy furniture. The other area, and what I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about today, is the buying furniture aspect of it and what the costs associated are with buying versus renting. A lot of people don't think about renting furniture for students, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of stuff to think about today. So I wanted to start off with the costs associated. In a cost comparison, all we did is we went to IKEA and we got some prices from them. A 7-piece bedroom set, $703, a living room set, and a dining room set. The total cost for you to purchase that furniture would be $1,539. At Cort, we're currently running a special for students, and if they mention George Mason, they're going to get a $99 package, and that's the full 1-bedroom collection. Apples to apples is what we're comparing towards the purchase or the rental. We charge a 12% waiver, so your total monthly cost would be $111 per month. Annualized would be $1,331 on that, with a total cost savings of $208. That's just the rental versus the purchase price of the furniture, but I also wanted to bring to your attention a little bit of the moving costs. So moving the furniture once you buy it becomes your responsibility. So you're looking at the truck rental of $230, and we just got those numbers directly off the internet for this area. A one-night hotel stay, you're looking at $129. The gas to reimburse the rental truck at $27. Tolls, you got to feed the people helping you move, so we're looking at about $45 from pizza to refreshments. The total cost to move in is $441, and you got to do it again on the back side of $441 to move out, which gives your total cost of $2422. Rental delivery, $195. That is a one-time fee. We both deliver it, we set it up, we put it together for you, and then at the end we pick it up for you. The total cost there would be $1526. And you're seeing the cost difference go up there quite a bit. The Purchase time also, you're going to have to spend some time getting everything and purchasing it. Your shopping time, we're figuring about 12 hours there between the research, going to the store, picking it up, multiple people involved. Your assembly time of 22 hours. We figure with IKEA furniture, again, that's where we're getting our numbers from. You're estimating 1 hour per piece of furniture, 2 people assembling that. You come to about 22 hours. You have to take a day off work just to deal with the move, and then your time traveling is about 44 hours. We estimated about your value of your time, just to put everything in monetary value for you, at about $100 an hour. I do my time higher when I'm off from work, but we needed to use a nice round number there. So total cost of time, $4,400. With renting furniture, it's a phone call. You pick up the phone, give us a call, say, hey, I need to rent furniture, here's my delivery address. You sign a lease with us. There's no credit check or security deposit as long as you do an auto payment form for your credit card. We deliver it, you call us when you're done with it, say, hey, come back and pick it up, and we move it all out for you. The total cost of your time is $100 there. So comparison, we're doing a total savings in this scenario of $6,736. So for us, in conclusion, I just wanted to give you a couple things to think about. Cort can offer you both money and time savings, and we are a safe and reliable way to receive quality furniture. I'm going to turn it back over to Caitlin at this time. Thank you once again.
Hi, and this is Scott again, obviously, not Caitlin. Fran, there was a question in the chat function that was what's included within the $441 when you're talking about move-in, so could we make sure that we get that question answered in our chat function? We've had some tech people come in, and what we're going to try to do at this point right now is try to go ahead and do our tour of our online housing website for you. Again, so we're going to check it out just one last time, and it is loading for that, so which is good news. And hopefully we'll go ahead and try this again, but if not, what we do is run a lot of tutorials for our students just coming into our office, working them through that website finder as well. If you have any questions, all of our contacts are going to be at the end of the slides again, or just stop in at tweet us at Mason OffCampus, or just visit our website at offcampus.gmu.edu, and we'll be able to answer those questions. So again, this is what, when you log into our housing website, this is what they most look like for that. What we're first going to show you is our roommate matching finder again. And our roommate matching finder is a great place that's just specifically for George Mason University students. And what we want to show you here that we were talking about last time around is when we scroll down, what we can see is that there's different filters for what you're looking for. If people have pets, if they don't have pets, what their cleanliness style is. So this isn't an exact science either. So what we're looking for is just general information, and again, university affiliation. And this one really helps for a lot of our students, because whether they want to live with other graduate students or whether they want to live with other undergraduate students, make sure that they go ahead and check this out. These little hearts right here allow you to save those people as favorites. So you could kind of come back, scroll through a lot of our postings, and then come back to the ones that you've listed as favorites. And the other one that we tell students to make sure that we know about is gender. So if you're just looking for other male roommates, if you're looking for female roommates, that might also be a good place to start as well. We're going to scroll back up and just kind of go to housing and our housing process. And this is where you could find a lot of our housing pieces of information there. And we're waiting just for this to load really quickly on our screen. And again, what we want to tell you about this is it's a very intuitive process that lets you search by multiple filters, whether you're looking for a regular, a sublet, or a shared information, whether you're want to search, a lot of people start searching by price range. So that we have 28 properties right now that are currently between that $500 and $1,100 mark. The length of a lease, and I know this was a question on our chat feature, obviously 12-month lease, 9-month lease. So you could just see the little bit of a difference between those that offer a 12-month lease, those that offer a 9-month lease. It is a little bit different, but again, a lot of our properties in the area do just look for that 9-month lease. The other big piece to let you all know about is when you keep scrolling down, this is just more specific. If you're looking for just specifically, I want to be walkable distance from George Mason University, obviously those 65 properties in Fairfax are going to be what you're going to be looking for as well. So after you go ahead and do that, that's going to allow you to pull up those 65 properties. And much like our roommate feature featured those little hearts, the same thing happens with our housing properties, where you can go ahead and kind of click as favorites on those properties as well, and that's going to let you review those properties and do a comparison between those properties at the end of your search. So again, the biggest thing to know is that this is a great feature here for you, and we are here. If you ever need any help or assistance, feel free to call our office or visit our website. Again, what we can do is students and family members can go ahead and create accounts and sign in to do that housing search process. But under our roommate feature, you do need a specific George Mason University email address to advertise that roommate matching finder as well. So with that being said, we're going to actually go ahead and turn it over to Caitlin to actually kind of close out our presentation today.
All right, so thanks to Scott, Jen, and Fran for all of their time and for providing you all with some what we hope was really helpful information on how to navigate the on and off-campus housing search. For those of you just tuning in, my name is Caitlin Euler, and I'm the Assistant Director for Family Programs and Services here at Mason. And just wanted to remind everybody, at the bottom of the slide you see on the screen, there will be a copy of, or a recording of this webinar that will be posted to our website, which is masonfamily.gmu.edu, that will be available for you all to go back and kind of reference the points that they were making. We can also make it available as a PowerPoint in case you wanted to just go and navigate right to a certain slide for information. On your screen, you see that our next webinar is scheduled for April 2nd at noon, and it'll be with Career Services and alumni, and they'll be discussing how you can help build your students' career success while they're at Mason, but also what happens after they leave and how you can help support them and what are the resources that alumni offers to students after they are no longer here with us. So definitely tune into that. What will happen now is we will go ahead, I'll turn off the talk and the video so you won't be able to see any of us anymore or hear us, but we will be here to answer any questions you have over chat. So Scott and Jen and her staff and Fran, they're still logged in and available to answer any questions you may have. So if you don't see or hear us anymore, know that we are still here. Thanks again for tuning in, and we hope you choose to tune in for a future webinar.